Hey guys, so it's here bringing you another video. Now, welcome to another episode of Climb to Master. This one's going to be slightly different. It's actually going to be a POV commentary. The game itself, as you can see, is a Diamond 2, Diamond 3 type game. We're at 75 LP D3 at the moment. We're trying to make our way back to Diamond 2. This was the session that you would have seen that we had like the Troll Nami and stuff. Unfortunate, it happens. We then also had kind of an inting Jace a couple games later. That the guy who didn't start inting, I think he just got insanely tilted and then did kind of start inting, like teleporting into the whole enemy team when they were on a tower by himself, or just literally just running straight into them. So this day was a bit rough. So what I decided to do, which I think was quite a good idea, is do a POV commentary. Just play the game. You know, I'm still streaming when I was playing this game. I've still got the chat and stuff, so I've got that kind of pressure, but like lessen the pressure of having to do a commentary. It is surprising how much that kind of pressure can give. So what I decided to do, meanwhile, I go for a, I don't know why I did that. I go for a mana flow stack, so I got it, hey, but I did take a tower hit for that, so probably not worth. But yeah, so what I would say, which is really nice, is obviously if you've noticed the microphone probably sounds a bit different. Again, please do keep giving me feedback about it. I am still tinkering with the settings. I think we've already made it sound a lot better. But yeah, let me know if you guys are happy about it. I've also just noticed I don't know my studio lights on. Let there be light. Oh my god. The good thing of having this brand new mixer is the fact that, like, in this game, I can tell you right now, during the stream, I was playing music. I was kind of chilling out with my stream, not doing a commentary, and I generally actually play weirdly better with music, or I chill out with music a lot easier. So when it's been a bit of a stressful solo queue day, the fact that I can now do this, play music, play solo queue, but then I've got the audio tracks completely separated, so I can actually get rid of the audio of music for this video, and it's completely separate, is amazing. So I'm very happy that we can do that now. It's just a little quality of life change for me personally, because sometimes when you're having a bad time in solo queue, like I've had, like, you know, we all have had, and I'm said, like, I'm not going to record this, it can become a little bit stale because I'm not talking as much if I'm not doing a commentary. So it's probably a little bit more boring, well, for my viewers who are watching live especially. So the fact that I can play music, so there's not dead air, but then get rid of that is just an absolute, it's a game changer. So we're against a Zillion mid. Some of you may notice I'm getting ganked already by a Hecarim, and I decide I'm just going to go over to my Graves. Maybe he can help me out. I will say I was going into this match expecting to be camped. Why? Zillion mid isn't really a carry. He's an enabler, is the way that I would call Zillion. And, you know, look at the synergy between the horse and Zillion. The horse uses movement speed a lot, and Zillion can potentially stun or bomb. So we do fend them off quite well, and then unfortunately for us, the enemy center roams. Now, one thing that, you know, it's annoying that she's roaming, and she does, well, the Graves does give the first blood over to Zillion. Notice what they do in bot lane. They actually kill the Aphelios. Now, I do remember this, by the way. Look away if you don't want to see bad farm. This was the nightmare situation to be in. Look at all like the weird healths that the minions are on. I've got no mana. So this was like, basically, I'm missing every single minion here. Again, still getting the XP. So that's why I was like, I cannot go back right now. I need to stay to at least get the XP. But that was not a good situation at all. I can see myself in the bottom right in the camera that obviously I'm blocking now doing this commentary. I'm laughing in the bottom right. Because that was not good. But yeah, so what I would say also, just reminding everybody, my Viktor started this year really bad. We played 5 games of Viktor and I went 0-5. Good flash by Malphite to survive there. But yeah, I went 0-5 on Viktor, which wasn't good. This is now my 3rd game of Viktor since going 0-5, and so far the 2 games I've played before this one, we have won both of them, so I'm currently 2-5. So again, still not great, but you can't recover a win rate of a champion if you don't play the champion. And to be honest, 0-5, although it's not great, it's recoverable. It's only 5 games. I have no idea what that E was, by the way. No idea. But yeah, Zillion mid, if we can talk about that a bit. Just to say also, the next Climb to Master episode you're going to get is a replay version of a game. Not a POV replay, an actual replay file. It was a bit of an odd game, but the Twitch chat and I both agreed it was really worth doing a replay on. I unfortunately just didn't record really the game, but I did do a replay commentary for that. And I've actually already recorded that replay commentary because it was before the patch, and therefore on patch day it was going to be out of date. So I've already done that. But just to say, this game is a Zilean mid. The reason why I brought up that episode is because that game has a Zilean support, the enemy team. I'm not a massive fan at all for Zilean mid lane. This game, I will say, it will eventually highlight why I'm not a big fan of Zilean mid lane. And please, before anybody does, please don't quote. And by the way, really bad Renata gank. She's really forcing it. She flashes, she misses everything. And then unfortunately, we overextend to try and get the kill. And lo and behold, who shows up mid lane again? The horse. Again, I'm expecting to get camped by him, but that was just a little bit unfortunate for me. A little bit tilting that we had a support kind of force that as much, and we don't even get the kill. But yeah, before people go, oh, but Bjergsen or ex-pro insert here loves it, it's amazing, oh my god, it's the best thing in the world. As I've always said, you're not that pro, and really, I don't think Zilean mid lane is great anyway, apart from, you know, organized play. Like in pro play, where you've got hyper carries, and Zilean can enable those hyper carries more short. This is not that. You know, can you trust your hyper, like Aphelios is a hyper carry on the Zilean's team. Can he really trust the Aphelios hyper carry if he's just a random solo queue player? That's where I find the problem. I find you should be playing the hyper carries yourself to carry yourself as much as you can, not try to enable them to carry, because they might suck on your team. Because again, the great example is a few days ago, you would have seen it. We played that Kale game against the AD mid, and there was a mix in the comment sections of people going, mainly one of two things. Yes, it's troll, I would report it. Or the other opinion literally was, nah, Caps plays it, therefore it must be good. The funny thing is, I actually looked into that whole situation after. Caps has got a terrible win rate on ADRE, literally awful. It's like a 10 to 15% win rate. As I said in that video, Caps is probably bored as a pro player, and that's why he's doing it. Doesn't mean it's good. The guy's challenger in his sleep. If he wants to be a higher challenger, he'll just play serious stuff. Solo queue for him is boring. It's not serious. So it's the weirdest thing to me when people go, but pro player does it in solo queue. That it really means nothing if you actually think about it. But yeah, his win rate on it was really bad. I think in op.g said in the previous 7 days of me looking at it, the previous 7 days, I think he had something like 8 games played. He only won 1 of those games. He was 1-7 on ADRE. I was like, huh, well then. So if Caps is 1-7 on it, then an average solo queue player would do even worse on it. So that's the thing also I just wanted to say about, because like Zilean mid isn't typically a hyper carry, isn't typical like a great solo queue champion. And if I say that, people will come and go, but Bjergsen plays it or someone else plays it. And they might play it, but one, they're also in challenger. So like, again, the whole philosophy of Zilean mid lane isn't to carry, it's to enable. And when you're in challenger, your teammates are also better. When you've got challenger teammates, so your challenger hyper carries that you're enabling are also better gamers than the average. If you're in gold and you're playing Zilean mid, well, that's your gold hyper carry that you're trying to enable. It's not as good. So I go for a flash play here, and my E just doesn't go off in time, unfortunately. So that was an unfortunate flash situation. Nearly getting the Hecarim was very close. Don't know if Malphite could have like delayed his ultimate a little bit more, and then that would have given me more time to get there. But yeah, not the best start to the game, blowing flash like that. Just to kind of go through, by the way, the comps, and yes, I have muted, by the way, everybody's pings at this point. Today was, well, of me recording this, sorry, me playing this, it was, as you guys have seen in the content, it was a bit of a stressful day. So the last thing I wanted was to get into like, oh, my team are just spam pinging each other and stuff like that. I'm just going to mute it. I'm just going to move on, and I'm just going to focus as much as I can on my own game. Obviously, it goes without saying, that is sometimes hard to do. You know, that is something that I have heard as feedback over the last, well, let's be honest, a couple of years of Huz, focus less on your teammates, focus more on you. I'd love to. I genuinely would love to. I would love to never mention a teammate that is a 0-2 Malphite in top or a 1-2 Vayne that's also 20 farm down. I'd love to never mention those while I'm playing the game. The problem is the philosophy that I've also spoken about a few times. It's nearly impossible not to mention it. The reason being is when you're in the moment and when your job is to talk about, you know, I'm talking out loud, I'm doing a commentary, how can I not say that thing out loud? I've always given it the equation of it's the equivalency. Meanwhile, me and Zilean having a bit of fight. Again, we basically just stun each other. When he commits to do a double bomb, it gives me the time to put the W on him, and then he gets locked down too. So I'm going to go for an ult play. He's trying to get another double bomb on me, so the ultimate just stops him doing the second bomb at the right time. And you can see we are roughly even trading. If anything, I'm a little bit ahead in the trades, but he obviously has a revive mechanic, which I don't have. It is also worth knowing the synergy between Hecarim and Zilean for diving me is also insanely powerful. One, he can speed up a Hecarim for a dive. Two, Hecarim commits to a dive. He's tanking the tower. Well, guess who can then revive him so he doesn't die? Zilean. It's really, you know, Zilean can put a bomb on Hecarim as he's running in to even do more damage. So it's a very dangerous synergy that I've got to try and not feed to, basically. If I can get to mid to late game, I can become a beast on Viktor. That's the point. But what was I saying? Again, this is sometimes... Oh, the analogy that I've always given for a couple years, and I think when people hear it, a lot of people do understand. And you can see I'm backing off because I don't know where Hecarim is. He's just on Dragon. Could he be bot lane? But the equivalency that I've always said, meanwhile, Renata misses, and boom, lo and behold, look who's mid lane. It's a Hecarim, and he doesn't even kill me. Then he ults back in and doesn't even die to a tier 2 tower that does more damage. In that process, by the way, you might be like, wait, how did Zilean die? Zilean was running through, I think, the mid tower to try and get to me or get to the Hecarim to help him, and he got killed by the tower. So a bit of a weird situation there, but yeah, I die, unfortunately, to a Hecarim. I wasn't, as you can see, I wasn't focusing on myself. Going to be honest, I thought I was pretty safe being under a tier 2 tower at 10, 11 minutes into the game, but apparently not to a Hecarim. But finally, let me get to the analogy that I've always used about not mentioning bad teammates or bad play. You're in a hurricane. You're in a storm, you're in a hurricane, and you're a newsreader, right? So your job is to talk. Are you going to talk about the normal news when you're in the middle of a hurricane? No, you're going to talk about the hurricane that you're in. And that's the point. My job is to speak and to say things out loud of what's happening around me, what's happening to me. So if I do have a teammate that's doing bad, it's nearly impossible not to mention that. It is the equivalent of a newsreader who, again, their job is to read the news or to read something out loud. That's my job too. And when I'm in this type of situation that my teammates are like doing pretty bad, how am I not going to mention it? Like, that's what I've always said. You know, maybe I should try and mention it less. I'll give you that. But yeah, I'm going to go for an ult play here because, again, there's now 2 people mid lane. The unfortunate thing, as you can see, I'm just getting turned on with stuns and slows and everything. Been a bit of an odd game so far, goes without saying. Some people may also ask, like, you've got a Renata this game. How are you finding that champion? I still think she's pretty terrible. I still have yet to like see Renata, especially like, and here's the thing, maybe I'm not giving it the benefit of the doubt, but in lane phase at least, she looks like probably the most useless champion in League of Legends, like in lane phase. She does get better later, I know she does, but still, that champion I would say is like one of the complete outliers in modern day champions. Modern day champions are usually made to be completely broken. They sell more, and Riot's ethos for designing champions is it's fun for the player that's playing it and not fun for the player that's against it. They've literally embraced the certainty design as a whole now. Meanwhile, again, we stun each other, but he gets the damage on me. I do, by the way, have my first augment, which is definitely going to help me here. You can see, look, he's trying to go for like a double bomb, even into a potential dive. Backs off it after a while, though. Hecarim on a killing spree on our Vayne. So this game's not going too hot. So overall, you could probably already kind of slowly or a little bit tell like why I kind of stopped recording this game. I'm going to go bot lane though to try and help out. They're really overextended in our territory, and I just flash for it and I get the shutdown. Not played perfectly. Obviously, it's just a very fast Hecarim. So you aim E in one area where he's not there by the time the E actually is arriving there. So again, it's nice to get the shutdown. That gets me a bit onto the board. That's going to get me, I think right now, if I go back, I can probably afford Crown, which is nice. I think I do opt for Crown this game, by the way. The enemy team has okay burst. And I just think Crown is very well suited to Viktor, if I'm completely honest. Viktor does so much raw damage if he doesn't get killed, like pretty much every champion in mid. But yeah, I just think Crown is suited to him. The fact that it doesn't really negate his late game damage pretty much at all, like, people could go, oh, if he goes Ludens, you can get even more. Sure, he can get even more damage, but you're still doing insane amounts of damage. Like, that's the point. Victor's an absolute monster. So I think Crown is just a well-suited item to him in modern day League. So we did have a Aphelios in mid lane there, just doing a bit of tower damage. He's now back in bot lane. Again, arguably Zilean should probably be bot lane, or they should have lane traded or something, because again, their bot lane tower is, they've got it. They've got our tower, so there's not really any big reason that Aphelios would still be bot lane right now. Unfortunately, our Vayne decides that she's strong enough to fight the Aphelios in a 1v1. The Aphelios himself isn't doing that well. He's like 2 and 4 at the moment. Vayne, I was like, you know, she's flashing, just accept the death, and she does end up getting killed. She nearly escaped, but yeah, like the enemy team, their plan, I guess, has been so far, which has been relatively telling. I'm going to go for, again, a bit of more burst. Maybe I should have waited, because if I was level 11 there, maybe that would have been better. I would have ended up getting the kill straight away. We do end up getting the kill, so that's something. You know, I do have enough damage, let's say, to kill the Zilean right now, as you just saw. It just, if he has ultimate up, then I can't. Now, this is actually an okay potential fight for us. Why? Well, look what just happened before this. I've literally just got the ultimate. I just got Zilean ult, and then the enemy team are deciding to take a fight. So we end up with a couple kills here or there. This E hurt me, man. That E. I just, again, not playing perfectly well, but do a good W, though. So again, I do a bit of damage, help with the W, stun the Aphelios. So we end up getting a triple kill, and Dragon has just spawned. So that's actually gonna be overall a great situation. Also worth knowing, which is very big for Viktor himself, is in that whole situation, I think got 3 assists or something like that. That's 75 stacks for my augments. I'm already, during that fight, I got one of the augments, by the way. Upgraded it during the fight. You can see above my health bar, like over there, I'm on 61 stacks already towards my final augment. So that is where, like, for Viktor, don't panic too much if your early game isn't going well on Viktor, because you're not just a champion that gains strength from items like every champion in the game. You're also a champion that gains stacks, or gains strength in your kit the later the game goes on, when you get these augment upgrades. They are such a big deal to your kit on Viktor. So it's actually like not a massive panic if you're not having a great early game. Wave clear, obviously very good on Viktor too. I do get Aphelios from like a million miles away. Hecarim right now, it is worth saying, has got just crazy confidence, so he's just going to invade anytime he wants. The Renata mispositions, and she goes down again. Again, quite a squishy champion that she seems to be. There was a few, you know, we watched that Challenger spectate. Meanwhile, I'm getting ulted, everything up the absolute thingy. I don't know why he doesn't auto-attack me, by the way. I was actually shocked. I'm pretty sure he could have, but he just didn't pull the trigger. What was I going to say? I've gone blank. I keep doing that at the moment. I will say I am recording this on a day that I'm not quite feeling right. All I'll just say, everybody, is do try to look after your health issues as much as you can. I unfortunately kind of did it to myself today, that, as you guys know, I've been on medication for quite some time. I hate being on the medication because it makes me drowsy. I specifically didn't take my meds last night because I just don't want this drowsy feeling anymore. And I woke up feeling completely like death. So yeah, I've thrown up today. I've done like everything. I was supposed to go in the gym today and I just didn't. Enemy team, as you can see, though, is going for a big old push. We're doing a bunch of damage with the Graves, helping him out. And then Malphite comes on the back line. And he cleans up. Oh, God. So we actually end up getting 4 of the enemy team. Weirdly enough, which, again, doesn't make much sense, the Zilean, if I'm not mistaken, was bot lane. Split push bot lane Zilean when he is, in essence, a support-ish kind of mid laner. Like, again, I know his damage isn't terrible as Zilean's. It's nothing to compare to a Viktor in late game, obviously. But you know, you can do some damage on Zilean, but the fact that he wasn't there to enable his team to revive, a clutch revive, a double bomb stun, to me, like, that's really bad that he wasn't there. Very weird teleport play happening. I don't see why that was a thing. So Aurelia just wasted her teleport, and now the objective bounties are kicking in. So we get Dragon, we get Rift Herald. We also, after that fight, you know, we killed 4 of the enemy, and we're only two kills behind of an even game of kills. This is where I do find objective bounties a little bit weird. It's like, we must have not been that far behind. I'm not really sure. I decide, by the way, I have to flash that, because if I don't flash that, I would have got stunned, and maybe there would have been a Hecarim or something around, and maybe I would have died. Meanwhile, top lane, there's an Aurelia. Zilean is teleporting top lane, and if you can look in bot lane on the minimap, our Malphite is at the moment fighting their Aphelios. So I'm not really sure why Malphite's taking that fight. He also has ultimate available, but as you can see, he just died without using ult. No idea. You know, a Malphite ult is a pretty important tool, so to not use it is a bit weird. Fight, though, as you can see, is going very well for my team. They have not focused the right targets. Renata ult has finally hit somebody, and they end up getting 3 kills. So even though Malphite died in bot lane by himself, quite bad, especially not using ulti, ends up in an okay situation. And I actually believe that situation in top lane might have been a 3v4 for my team. I wasn't there, and I think they had 4 people. Maybe Senna wasn't there. Maybe it was a 3v3. I don't really know. Aphelios though split pushing bot lane, so I'm a bit like, what the hell do I do? My team's deciding just to go top lane, get a tier 2. They might even try to continue. If they saw Aphelios still bot lane, they probably would have continued, but Aphelios does back out. So again, not a bad situation. And that, I will say, is going to be one of the negatives of the enemy comp, is their lack of damage. And that might surprise some people, because like, dude, they've got Aurelia, they got this, they got that. Realistically speaking, meanwhile, we are now seeing Aphelios, and I'm like, dude, Malphite's above me. He didn't use ultimate in the last fight. We've got Malphite, baby. So there we go. We actually killed the Aphelios. Bad positioning. Just, you know, that's the only way to define what that Aphelios just did. Why are you in the enemy jungle right now? The dragon is less than a minute to spawn, so they're not going to have Aphelios at dragon. So that's a really bad death from Aphelios. But going back on what I was saying about the lack of damage, they've got Aurelia, yes, but Aurelia does struggle with grouping later, believe it or not. You know, even I've always said Aurelia's kind of got crazy OP or whatever, and she's one of my kryptonite champions. Even I will admit she does struggle later on into the game. Then they've got Hecarim, and this Hecarim was basically going tank Hecarim, and yes, it still does okay damage, but it doesn't do anything compared to like proper damage. Meanwhile, revive happens. Graves also gets revived by Renata, and then makes the classic mistake that so many people seem to be doing when there's Renata in the game. They just run away. Ben gets a 2 kills for 1. But the amount of people that I keep seeing, like that Graves got revived and he needed to get a kill or assist to survive, and he ran away, is mind-boggling. You know, even in Diamond, people just don't know the new champions at all. So that isn't a Renata champion problem. That's the player problem, really. I've got ultimate again soon, which might be helpful. Aurelia's walking into us, which is a bit interesting. Don't land the stun. Renata ultimate has gone off, by the way, but doesn't really do anything. Me and Malphite just pop the Aphelios, so he's not involved anymore. Because, you know, Aphelios is a very, very, very scary champion. But yeah, Zillion's not going to do a crazy amount of damage. That, by the way, I will say, that shocked me that she had range to Q onto me. I honestly was shocked. I was like, wait, what? Like, that was like, I don't even know. Like, that must have been the longest range Q I think I've ever seen. Graves does get the snipe, though, with his ulti, which is good. Bit of a fiesta match, as you can tell. Kill-wise, though, we have just taken the kill lead, believe it or not. Which was a bit surprising, but we do manage it. But also worth knowing, like, Zillion's damage is not impressive anyway. He's even got Everfrost, which is also not going to help his damage. Why? Well, again, he's a utility champion. Everybody, I think, would pretty much agree he just gets blasted. I don't know if he had ultimate up at that time. But Zillion is not a DPS. He's a utility champion. He slows, bombs, revives. That's fantastic. It's very powerful. Just, he's not a carry. So they're going to be lacking damage there. So Aurelia's going to struggle related to a grouping. Hecarim's building tank. Zillion's damage is never going to be insane. And then bot lane, Aphelios could be scary, but then he has to have a Malphite ulting him on Malphite's basically ulting on him every fight he can. And, you know, I will say the Aphelios was also kind of playing a bit weird quite often. So we're getting a couple picks here. Get myself another kill. We're up to 3, 4, 10. Being involved in 13 out of 25 kills. Just over 50% kill participation right now. But yeah, another 2v1. So slowly this game is actually going in our favor because the enemy team, I don't know what happened. It was like a light switch. So they just started playing a little bit more desperate. And that just forced a little bit more mistakes on their part. And that's actually what kind of enabled us to get back into this game. Because we were losing this game. You know, we got at one stage, remember, we had objective bounties. Like, that's when you're supposed to be behind in the match. Even though, I will say at the time, did I feel like we were behind enough to have objective bounties? The honest answer is not really no. And I think that's one of the big problems with objective bounties. So it is worth knowing. I don't really know modern day Zillion perfectly well, I will admit. But having Fumblewinter to me seems really stupid. Because again, it's going back to what I've said before. Meanwhile, Aurelia was trying to flank us. It's going back to what I thought I said. You're in mid lane, you're a carry role position, and you're going Fumblewinter that's not going to really give you any damage. To me, that's where, like, I've said there are some champions that if you can do the exact same job in support than you can mid, don't play it mid. let an actual carry go mid, and you can do the exact same role as support. Zilean is one of these champions. You can still bomb, you can still slow, you can still revive as support. You don't have to be the hyper carry or a carry role to do that. Same that I've always said about Pyke. I don't like Pyke mid. Why? Because you're doing the exact same job as Pyke support. It's the same job, but let your actual kind of DPS go mid. There's a bunch of these champions that kind of do that. But yeah, Aphelios mispositioning again. I ult late, but watch this. He doesn't respect my ulti, and then he ults himself, and I actually end up getting the kill. Don't know if the Aphelios is a little bit tilted or something, or just wasn't playing that well. But yeah, really nice kill. That's like kind of screws the enemy team, you know, if I'm completely honest. Nearly get that center in that slow, or the stun, sorry. That would have been very, very close. We're trying to break open the tier 1 tower, but it's not going to quite happen yet. Malphite, which is obviously very good, is Aurelia's trying to split push. Malphite literally is just a rock. No, you know, pun intended or whatever. He's just stopping that happen. Hecarim goes a full engage on me. I managed to flash out the way, and then he's over-committing to the fight. Renata ultimate lands-ish, and I'm like, right, let's fight, baby. And then unfortunately, I'm like, yo, Vayne will help, and Vayne walks the other way. Little bit unfortunate there, but yeah, Vayne walks the other way. If Vayne focused the Hecarim, I think I would have been okay. But yeah, she focused somebody else. But it's still fine. You know, we still end up doing okay things. Unfortunately for us, though, I think my team just was like sleeping a little bit because they didn't see the Hecarim come back in. The good thing is Vayne does have lifesteal. I just checked there. She's got a bit of lifesteal, so she will regen a bit up. The enemy team obviously was going to try and stop this from happening. You can see Aphelios coming in. With Gale Force, though, he gets the kill. The thing is, though, like that, again, isn't a great trade. This is where I think the Aphelios was definitely tilted. He's died 11 times now. It doesn't stop the Baron. I do let my team know I'm respawning in 7 seconds, and they just don't. You know, they would have had to wait like 2 or 3 seconds, which they could have easily done, and they just decide not to. So I would have liked to have Baron there, but it is what it is. I will say I made a mistake here. I do actually have the amount of gold to buy Zhonya's. So that is just a little, you know, lesson to people. Just double check your gold when you leave your base, because I literally could have Zhonya's right now. And I think I actually decide to, in literally a couple seconds, I think I base to go get Zhonya's when I could have bought it anyway when I left the base the first time. Just like little things like that is just a bit silly. I wanted, by the way, why I ulted there. I was expecting Malphite to ult. I was expecting, oh, Malphite's going to ult. The Zilean's caught out. With my ulti, we'll get the kill. And yeah, he doesn't ult, unfortunately. Like getting a Zilean pick before a dragon is actually pretty good. Because again, you're reducing their CC. You're reducing the chance of a revive. But he just does. We're not quite on the same page, which happens. Graves, by the way, is 2 levels above the Hecarim and just completely charges down the Hecarim. He ends up getting the kill. Malphite misses his ulti. And then, you know, Zilean bomb has happened. Zilean ulti's happened. Renata ultimate has done some work. So that Renata ends up getting the kill because the Aphelios was attacking other people or something like that. And I end up getting the kill on somebody else. So overall, really good situation. 4 of the enemy team is dead. The dragon is also spawning, but I think we decided just to push mid a bit. And lo and behold, there's a split push top laner. There always is. Like, it's just it's the standard nowadays. I will say I was actually quite surprised that this Aurelia didn't buy Hullbreaker. I'm recording this game was recorded before the patch has just happened, but obviously that patch has only affected ranged Hullbreaker users. Yes, even like Aurelias are buying Hullbreaker. Every single melee top laner is buying Hullbreaker right now. That is how the meta is, I guess. So I was surprised she didn't buy it. Maybe a Malphite wouldn't buy it. Maybe like a pure tank wouldn't buy it. But if you're a bruiserish champion or an AD champion, hell, even an AD Nico is back in top lane. She's buying it. Maybe not now with a range nerf, but everybody's buying it. So maybe the Aurelia should have had it, and then her split push would have been even faster. She might have even been able to, with the extra speed of having a Hullbreaker, she could have opened up our base there, potentially. So I was actually talking, I think, to my audience in the moment, saying maybe Shadow Flame, or whatever it's called. That was potentially a mistake item this game. The enemy team doesn't really warrant having it. So I end up getting the Zilean, so that was nice. Hecarim decides to go for me, of all people, but the crown just stops any big burst. Aphelios kills somebody from over a screen away, because that's just what Aphelios can do. That champion is still crazy. Really nice Malphite ultimate. I get the kill on the old Hecarim. Aurelia doing Aurelia things. Insanely scary champion, as I've always said. We do end up surviving, though. Vayne is not in the area. I need to get rid of that turret, because that would have definitely killed me. And I'm going to do a bit of damage, and I do not need to overcommit for this. Why? Hello, Vayne. How are you? Vayne is literally the chasing champion. I do hit that Senna, by the way. I don't know what health she was on. I thought maybe she would have been dead, but alas, she does not die. And obviously, she can now heal herself up with her Q if she wanted to. But we're going to go into the enemy base. Not really sure we can, like, do much about this. But yeah. I will mention I am level 17. If you look at mid lane, I'm 3 levels above the Zilean. Like, literally, I'm 3 levels above my lane opponent in mid. This is the problem with Zilean. He's doing 0 damage. He's got 0 pressure. Like, there's no point in him really... He's not doing anything, like, at all. I will say I do make a mistake and I overstay. The timing, I mentioned in the stream, the timing of the bomb did seem really weird. In, like, Zhonya's, if you get hit by a Zilean bomb, you press Zhonya's. As soon as I came out of Zhonya's, it felt like I got hit by the bomb. So I don't know if it's timed that way. It's just one of those weird interactions, or I guess it might depend when you actually press the Zhonya's, but it was just unfortunate. Vayne nearly killing the Zilean, but yeah, we both end up dead. And this is going to be an unfortunate, I think, for the situation. That now 2 of the carries, me and Vayne, are dead. Renata ultimate comes through, and I think that does help. I think... Renata ult was actually doing a decent amount of work. Double bomb by Zilean, and now you have Nephelios, who's obviously very scary. Graves nearly gets himself revived, but doesn't in the end. And yeah, we're basically getting aced. Some people might be like, oh god, that's really bad. Enemy team comeback. Not really. Again, we're winning this game quite clearly at this stage. There's no big objective from them to take. There's no Baron, there's no Dragon. Yes, it's unfortunate, but we have broken into their base. So it's not, to me, it's not the biggest deal in the world. That was just a series of, I got killed in their base. Vayne got killed alone, and then my team kind of, you were fighting, in essence, 3v5 near enough. So, to me, not a big deal. But yeah, basically reset and we'll be okay. Enemy turret, by the way, has been destroyed. I'm not really sure which one. I think it actually was a Nexus tower has just got killed by minions there. So, again, not a terrible thing to happen out of a bad situation. But, yeah, not too bad. Worth mentioning... Oh, Vayne, by the way, I thought I wasn't having the best game this game, and I wasn't. My KDA is doing actually pretty good. We're 7-6-15. My Vayne is 7-10 at the moment. She is dying quite a lot. You know, 10 deaths for a main carry. You're getting, you know, 10... Obviously, deaths is relative. If you've got 20 kills and 10 deaths, that's not too bad. But the fact that she's only got 7 kills but 10 deaths, not great. So she has to be a little bit careful with her positioning, I would say. Worth knowing, I do think this is quite a hard game for a Vayne. The reason being is, you know, Aurelia, although yes, struggles with grouping later, Vayne is a low-range AD carry, so it's more likely an Aurelia can get onto a Vayne. Hecarim is going to probably go for a lot for a Vayne. Again, low-range AD carry means Zilean is more likely to slow or bomb you. Aphelios is a high-range AD carry, so he's outranging you all the time. So is Senna. So it actually is quite a hard game for a Vayne to do much in. We're kind of baiting the enemy team here. I don't know what happened to the Hecarim because he just kind of wasn't really thinking. Renata ult does land but doesn't do anything. Unfortunately, I think that Renata ult was, oh, they're running in, I'll ulti, so they start attacking each other and the enemy team just ran away. Watch this, by the way, in a second if memory serves correctly. I think I go for an ultimate on Aurelia and then watch the Aphelios' health. So I hit an E, I ult the Aurelia, and I nearly literally kill the Aphelios when I didn't even mean to. I was aiming for Aurelia, and I nearly killed the Aphelios. That's how much damage Viktor can do. I'm nearly killing somebody that I didn't even mean to do any damage on. It's crazy how much this damage, how much damage this champion has got. And I'm like, ooh, blue buff. So they're chasing Hecarim away. Why? The dragon. There's not much this Hecarim can do. He's kind of alone at this stage of the game. No one's really helping him too much. So we end up getting the dragon, and that is going to be Cloud Soul. Never a bad thing, obviously. And yeah, Baron is up. And look, so there's Aphelios' health. He gets ulted. Unfortunately, annoyingly, we do a bit of damage. He put a turret down so I couldn't walk directly in. And watch this. Watch this E. E, boom. I get it. I literally get his GA in the back line with my E. That is clutch. Like, honestly, if that was a Viktor on my team, I would have been so chuffed with that Viktor because that is huge. Enemy team, you can see this kind of sense of desperation is starting to emerge here. Honestly, I will also say, I do think partially... meanwhile, Renata Ultimate is doing work. It is literally doing work. That's the biggest time I've ever seen Renata do something. I get revived, by the way, by Renata, so thank you very much for her. That's the biggest example of a team fight that I've ever seen a Renata do anything in. The ultimate made the whole enemy team fight each other, and Aphelios on the side was attacking his own team and doing a lot of damage to them. That's really big. And obviously he didn't have GA because I popped it earlier. Therefore, he couldn't revive in the fight. Works very well. So we end up going 9, 6, 17. Doing a lot of damage, I think, in this game. And that's just what the unfortunate, I think the enemy team was just lacking. They were lacking that big damage. We'll see at the end, obviously, the damage done. But I was also going to say one more thing. I do think the Zilean was also making a massive mistake of who he was reviving. He kept reviving the Hecarim. Maybe they were duo Q or something. The priority should have been Aphelios. 100%. Aphelios was their hyper carry. That's who Zilean should be protecting. That's who he should be reviving. And he just wasn't helping the Aphelios at all. So to me, that was just a little bit of a mistake, a little bit weird. So right now, you're seeing me in the chat below. I'm saying, hey guys, should I do a POV commentary about this? And my whole chat was like, yeah, this is a good game for a POV commentary. Because the early game didn't go great, but we recovered it very well. And that, by the way, means we are now 3-5 on Viktor. And there's the damage. So we do 40,000, nearly 41,000. So we do the most damage in the game. Graves is then second. And that's my point. Look at the Aphelios. He's the hyper carrier of the enemy team. Look how little damage that Zilean did. His build was so anti-damage. But this is the example of why I don't rate Zilean mid. I also would say I especially don't rate Zilean mid if he's prioritizing the wrong target to help. He kept reviving the Hecarim. He's not the hyper carry. You need to help the Aphelios, your actual hyper carry. So to me, that was also a bit weird too. But that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, obviously that means we're 1 win now away from getting back into Diamond 2. Please do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal.